again, dear friends. Please accept my apologies for not having returned sooner. The Susan's new novel, Deja Vu, now available, as the saying has it, in all good bookshops and online. The good author has bid me do a reading from it. The piece that I'm going to read recounts an unexpected opportunity that came Alexander's way. Following his sexual assault on his partner and a subsequent elopement, he had had a barren time of it. Here we go then. Lying recumbent on his bed, Alex listened to the sound of splashing water. It was coming from the adjoining bathroom. He imagined her in there right now, soaking her body, her skin like silky velvet, the stinging water jets cascading onto her plump breasts, making the nipples turgid and hard, jutting and proud, big, extra big. He flexed his muscles, cradled his head in his hands. As big as they might be, he would make them bigger. He'd make them stand out like bloody hat pegs. Holy smoke, was he up for this, ready to go. He'd gone without long enough. Too long, but now he was going to get some. He caught sight of himself in the mirror above the bed. God, he was a big boy tonight, like a tree trunk. She'd better get in here quick or she would miss the premiere. If she did miss it, he would make the matinee memorable for her, something she would remember for a very long time to come. He sniggered at the sudden thought. If she missed the premiere, she could call it a premiere ejaculation, but she wouldn't be able to call what followed a matinee idol. No, she would not. He'd have her calling him the man, the daddy, before this session was over. He reckoned he was good for 3 turns at least, and the last one would be a 2-hour stint of unbelievable sex. She would feel like she had lived, just, through a bloody tornado, a cyclone. He saw her at the end of it, stretched across the bed, her pussy scarlet, riven and gaping, like an over-ripened pomegranate, turned near inside out by his relentless pounding. In the picture, she turned glazed eyes to his. Her lips moved. You're the man, Alex. I've been fucked before, but you are the daddy. The sweet scent of honeysuckle blossom unclosed his eyes, and there she was, framed in the doorway of the ensuite. Aphrodite, bashful and coy, the virgin bride come to be deflowered, and he had just the instrument with which to do it. He suppressed a smug snicker. Yes, he certainly had. He had a hard-on like a stallion, a hard-on that would take some shifting, a hard-on like a battering ram. He became fascinated by her tits. 2 giant teardrops that seemed to sway with the swing of his eyes. Hams. That's what they were. 2 butcher's hams. Jutting and jaunty, jolly and juicy. Enough to make your mouth water. And he'd been right about the nipples. You could hang Christmas decorations off those 2. By the time he'd finished, you would be able to hang the whole darn tree. With a jiggle and a juggle and a jingle, she crossed the room and stood before him, at the footboard of the bed. He could have sworn she was shaved earlier, when she'd stripped off. But the blonde hair against the pale skin must have fooled him. Just a neat little triangle that nestled on the pubic mound. He'd square the hypotenuse of that little beauty before the night was over. Where do you want to start, Alex? She commenced a pirouette, turning herself ballet style until she faced him once more. Will it be missionary? Doggy? Cowgirl? Or would you prefer a blowjob? He watched her, his dick twitching like the trigger finger of a Western gunfighter facing white air, as, over the footboard she came, like an anaconda with tits. Lumpy lava, with the stealth of a bitch intent on wringing every last drop of manhood from his manhood. Let her try. Bring it on. Once he got going, his gonads could produce it faster than his dick could ejaculate it. He watched her come in, head, shoulders, tits, nipples dragging course across his flesh, until... How could she do that? Alex stared up into the mirror. How could she do that? No one had. She was a bloody sword swallower. He wasn't complaining though. But how could she do it? And that too. Every nerve end in his body, every neuron in his brain seemed focused on that part of him that was no longer visible. And the tongue that was, incredulously, licking his balls. Alex closed his eyes and concentrated. He wasn't complaining. He was not complaining. Alexander King did not complain about things like that. That would be like having the longest dick in the world, then grumbling because it was only a millimetre longer than your nearest rival. No, he was not complaining. On the contrary, he was in paradise. He was in heaven. He had just been awarded the biggest bonus in banking history. He'd been given the keys to the coffers of the Bank of England. Suddenly Alex gawped. How could she do that as well? How? It was anatomically impossible. She was an acrobat, a trapeze artist, a contortionist. She damn well squared the circle. She'd need quantitative easing if she wasn't careful. Alex watched her, unable to comprehend what he was seeing, let alone what he was feeling. He settled down for a long night. The longer the better. And then she... Well, there you are, my dear friends. I hope you enjoyed the reading. Hopefully it will have whetted your appetite to read Susan's book. I will be back soon with another extract from Deja Vu, but in the meantime, I wish you all happy reading. Oh, before I go, for all you boys out there, if you get wood while reading the novel, please do watch out for splinters. Au revoir.